Today we're going to be talking about how do you rig a linear slide, or a drawer slide it's sometimes called, so that we can take one of these that you typically find on a kitchen drawer or a bathroom drawer, and you can attach a string to it so that instead of just being able to pull it out in a horizontal motion, you could bring it into a plane and have it reach up vertically. The slide we're going to use in this video is a Misumi SAR 330, although the same principles will work for a 210 to 220 all the way up through their 240 and any of their other three-stage slides. Our basic SAR 330 is a three-stage slide, and it is three-stage slide because typically you only have 1 and 2 halves to a slide, and as they come together you would just have these two portions slide off. But a three-stage slide has an intermediary slide in the middle, where once the top stage has extended fully, you're now able to extend this second stage out, so you end up with 3 stages. The thing about a three-stage slide is that we'll never be able to fully extend it to full length. We won't be able to get it to about 90-ish% of its full length, just because of how we've got these slides designed up. What I've done here is I've taken that same linear slide, and on each end I have mounted a few different pulleys that have some V-groove bearings inside. They're called V-groove bearings because you look inside of them, there's a groove inside that looks like the letter V. Let's grab one you can actually see. If I grab this and I point towards the camera, you'll notice that on the top of it you can see a V point. So conceptually, how we can get a linear slide working is all we need to do is we just need to be able to grab an end here and pull to be able to extend this out. So if I were to simply take a piece of string, I were to attach this string onto one end of this pulley, we know that if I were to take this string and I were just to pull it, obviously I would be able to lift my whole system up. But if I take this same string and I wrap it through this pulley here, at a certain point this string can't get any shorter, and now we will extend out and wrap up. And I can keep going through this same system. If I were to take this string again, wrap it around this pulley here, like so. Now what I've done is I've gone from a solid connection point to a pulley, to another pulley, and now as I pull the string this way, this string can't get any shorter, this string starts to get shorter, and it wraps around the pulley until the point where we can't go forward anymore. Again, I could follow through the same conclusion. At this point, I can bring it right to my pulley if I wanted to, or I can run it through one more time. And to be honest, it doesn't really matter here. Just depends on where you decide to put your motor. So now, if I were to bring this whole system up, I'm going to pull to make this string longer. It's going to start making this string here shorter, until we get to our final stage. So in order to bring this whole system up, we're going to do one string that's going to extend our system and one string that will retract our system, or return to rest. So we'll start with our pulley down over here. Doesn't really matter which one you choose on this double bearing system. The one thing you want to make sure is that your pulleys are going to end up in line with your V-groove pulley, because if this is not in line, what'll happen is your string will try to come up and it won't actually, it'll start to slip off the correct side. We want to keep our retraction on one and our extension on the other. Again, it does not matter which side you choose for the extension. I'm personally going to choose the outside for the extension in this respect. So for this system, I found that 1.5 meters works really well for our length of string. So I have one length of string cut to about 1.5 meters here, and I'm going to tie it into my pulley on the outside. Now we want our pulley to stay to the inside here as we tie through, so there are a couple holes in the top of this pulley that I can slide one through. And then it's time to tie a knot to secure this in place. This is the double Davy knot because I have personally found, as others have, that if you use a braided cable, a single Davy knot will likely come undone. So that's nice and secure. That shouldn't be going anywhere now. And before we start this extension string, we want to make sure we wrap around 1, 2 wraps, and this just gives us a little bit of extra slack to work with. So now we just start working backwards through our system. And then over here, we need to tie our knot in there. Again, it doesn't really matter where we tie it. We just want to make sure that as we're pulling this, we don't untighten our DC motor. I'm just going to tie a simple bow line in the end here, but you could tie something different. Again, this is not a tutorial in knot tying, so I will link these knots below. And now if I were to extend this out fully, let's swap it around. As I rotate this motor, my strings get shorter. Now what I want to do before I start with my retraction string is I want to really crank this motor as tight as I can. So now let's do our retraction string. Same thing on our retraction string, we're going to start on the opposite side of the spool. If this coil is going to wrap this way to be able to extend the system, we need to wrap the retraction string in the opposite direction so that this one coils up as it retracts. So if we were to rotate this way, we actually need to be coiling around like so, so that as we rotate backwards, we're actually going to wind in the retraction string. And what I do is I will actually hold this little bit of tension with my finger and I will actually rotate the string so I reduce some tension on the extension and know that I'm actually coiling up the retraction string, because this is very easy to do the wrong direction. So again, I'm going to do 2 full loops here. Just get us started, and now we're going to start working our way back through the system. Now we want to go the opposite direction. If we started on this side for the extension string, we want to start in the other direction for the retraction string. Now I'm going to give this a good crank so that I'm fully extended. And tying off the extension spring, or the retraction, ends up tying to a spring. What the spring does is it'll let us keep constant tension in our system, because if we lose tension on the retraction string, what's going to happen is we're actually going to start losing tension on this wind here, and the whole system will kind of just go a little bit slack. Notice how they're getting some slack in this string right now? It's because we don't have 2 taut systems. We do want fully taut, otherwise you're going to end up slipping a pulley. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie a bow line in a place where if I were to tie this on, I'm going to get about 4 centimeters away from my spring. In my current setup, I found that 4 centimeters away, so if I have a loop that ends roughly here, that's going to be able to let me pull it up and onto my system, and that gives me just about enough tension to be able to hold this whole system together. So I'm going to tie my bow line in here now. I don't think this is going to be enough tension on the system. It might be close. Yeah, I'd like personally a little more tension. You can tell that we can feel our guitar string if we listen for it. That's pretty good. Probably get a little tighter. Once I'm done with this, I'm not actually going to cut off all this excess yet, until I'm happy with where my system is at. So now I should be able to pull my slide and extend. And we can see that on my system, there's a little bit of lag in the string. You can see that these strings are a little bit loose for where I'd actually want them to be sitting. So I would be concerned that one of these might pull out of a pulley here. You can actually see right up here as I see how much extra slack I'm getting on this string right here. That's not what you want in this system, because that is what's going to cause this string to actually jump out of this pulley, go on the side, and get pinched. So I might actually retie this retraction string to get a little. Nice thing about this is you could really put this motor anywhere in this system that you wanted. You could even change the angle of this rotation, and you'll be able to extend things up and down. So now that you got your system all rigged up, now you could have this set up in any plane as you drive your motor. I could set it up, and it will hold this position and send it back down. Hold position. I could even send it back down and vertically. Hopefully that helps you out with rigging your linear slides, and best of luck.